Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to NA Hub coverage of the America qualifiers for the international forums. I already joined once again by Merlini. I know that.
Why does my chat say this?
Yeah, it popped up in the other one too. Who is that guy?
I don't know.
I don't know, but he keeps saying inappropriate things.
I don't think
It's not a person. It's a. I don't know what it is. Anyway, it was supposed to be LD Merlini, but LD had some business to tend to, and now we get to do a few more games together, man. I know you're excited.
You're a liar. You said that you were only going to cast one game today.
I know. I get to cast 3 now. We get eHug versus SNA, and then after this will be Revenge versus NES.
Another news.
Another news. What? eHug? Sneaky Nyx Assassins? The Sneaky Nyx Assassins?
Whitebeard's really happy with you.
Yeah, I know. Whitebeard is... The salt is real, man. Everyone... know it. I feel like I'm getting ganged up upon here. Capitalists tweeting at me. Other casters shouting out at the end of games that Whitebeard is the best player. Making some waves here with my bold assertion that Whitebeard was the weak link, and now he's
That is
tagged
not a
up
very
as the
bold
weak link.
assertion.
I don't think it was that. I wasn't even that mean to him, but we'll keep it going. You know, I complimented their team overall. To be fair, SNA did just look very good against NAR. They beat NAR on BTS 1 just a moment ago, and eHug just beat Revenge. Not convincingly, but they did beat Revenge. So, Sneaky Nyx Assassins, eHug. You have any odds coming into this, Merlini? What are you thinking here?
65-35, maybe 70-30 if you're ambitious.
Yeah, that would be ambitious, I think.
eHug's not that bad.
They're not that bad. They've been looking a little better. They had a really rocky day one.
74-26?
Yeah, 74-26. I think that's about right, about appropriate-ish.
Am I overestimating eHug? They beat Revenge.
I think you were overestimating eHug, yeah.
They beat
Revenge.
Revenge, dude.
SNA's a lot better than Revenge, I think, right now, though. You don't think so?
They're
Maybe not a
decent.
lot, but I think they're
definitely
stronger.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, 70-30.
eHug's just inconsistent. eHug is just not a team that I would want to bet on. They're just, you know.
That's true.
Sometimes they win games. I mean, sometimes they come as a value bet. You know, they might be a 1 rare if it's like a 10-90 or something. But if it's pretty even, I don't know. They're just not a team that I would put my rares on. But let's look at the draft here. We can ramble about rares.
I think SNA's fighting for a lot more right now too.
Yeah.
They are very close to making the playoffs. And looking at the standings right now as we close in on the final day.
I wish we had a dynamic overlay for that.
5-2 Sneaky Nyx Assassins.
Does that include the game that just happened against NAR?
I believe so, yes. So
Okay.
NAR finally has their first loss, right? NAR also picked PA, so that's really
that's true. So Revenge is now 2-2, and eHug that puts them 2-3, and it's eHug seemed to be recovering a little bit, but they had that def win against Union for their first game.
Yeah, def win versus Union. They had a
sad.
win versus Istra, so you can pretty much count both of those two out.
Mhm.
Lost versus Liquid, okay. Oh, they lost versus top 5. Ooh. And they beat Shadows of the Past, so they don't really have any significant games. I'd say Liquid's way above their skill level.
Yeah. Aside from Liquid, this will be their next kind of big challenge.
Yes.
In context of the Sneaky Nyx Assassins.
This will be a good game for them.
Yeah. So let's look at this draft a little bit. Nyx Assassins, they grabbed Disruptor and Watermelon Man with their first 2 picks. Of course, that is Tide Hunter.
Yeah, dude, this is my kind of draft.
Yeah, these are Merlini heroes right here.
Disruptor and Tide Hunter, yes.
It's an interesting opening, though. Those are 2 heroes you don't see first and second picked very often.
They destroyed Mirana.
Yeah.
Disruptor destroys Mirana, and Tide Hunter's just good.
Yeah. We just talked about Disruptor countering Mirana at the end of that last game that we casted. And eHug following in the footsteps of Liquid with the Mirana Wraith King, maybe looking for some aggro try. They'll pick up at Nyx Assassin, probably for the off lane.
I don't think Nyx Assassin's that good here. He gets boned by silence. You don't want heroes that are too spell dependent, or if they are, I mean, I guess you can like, kind of unload your burst before him, but I guess you can look for ganks. It's decent, but they don't have any in heroes that really get countered by Nyx. I think that's where he really shines. Like, we saw a Nyx pick versus OD, and OD just got manhandled the whole entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch that game?
Which one?
It was SNA versus NAR, I think.
The one
it was
that
in
just
Summit.
happened?
No, it was in Summit NA.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And Nyx just owned OD all game, and that's where I think Nyx shines. Nyx versus heavy in heroes.
Oh, yeah, I do that game. I know what you're talking about.
And he's just decent if there's like no heavy in heroes. The heavy in heroes I view as OD, Darkseer, Skywrath, even though nobody picks them, OD. Those are the ones that you like. If you can get OD, you're all golden. But like, pick him like relatively early in the draft. Carry Silencer, yes.
It's legit.
More stuns are generally better, but someone like Centaur, who's still available in the pool, is generally a lot better.
Yeah. And there are some heroes that he works well in terms of setup with the Spike Carapace as well. Bat Rider is one for me that comes to mind. Abilities where you can't...
Ion Shell.
Yeah.
Too. He's already good for
Ion Shell. Even Sand King, if he throws out an ultimate, I guess you can... It's not ideal,
Viper.
but yeah, Viper. Anyone that has a damage output that you can't cancel. Once it's there, Nyx can be proactive and walk into it. But I don't really see a lot of that here either. Disruptor Static Storm it's about it, and that's... There's either a kinetic field down, or it's probably not somewhere you want to walk into anyhow. So not really that strong of a counter here.
Yeah, I would have much preferred like a tankier hero. Timber or Centaur, I think, come first and foremost. Disruptor kind of counters Clockwork, so Clockwork's not a good option for them. To be fair, it could be a Nyx mid or a support Nyx, but that is very, very unlikely.
Yeah, we have not seen much mid Nyx at all. He just... The problem is, once he hits level 6, he wants to roam around, and you can't leave that mid lane open.
That's okay. It's like Night Stalker.
Yeah, it's similar.
It's similar. If you're good with TPs.
Yeah, it's true. It's okay. It's just, it's easier to put him in the off lane, where you can just sacrifice it, he can move around, and it's not a big deal to let the off lane farm, compared to just leaving the mid lane uncontested for
He kind of
long
needs
periods.
levels and arcane boots, I'd say. He doesn't really need
Yeah.
blink until later.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Depends who he's
I
up
think
against.
Nyx mid is decent. It depends on the matchup, though. He owns Quap.
Yeah.
He's like
It's
decent
very
versus
match
Storm,
dependent. It really is.
but not versus Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend will just
Yeah.
poo-poo all over Nyx.
Well, eHug will grab TA, so it stands to reason that will be their mid hero to go up against the Shadow Fiend. And TA fares pretty well against Shadow Fiend.
Shadow Fiend can't outskill a TA in mid. It's very difficult to do, but
Cannot outskill?
He can't.
He can't, yeah.
Can't. No, can.
He can.
Can.
You mean...
Without the T. He can outskill her, as in he can win the lane.
So as in someone who... A higher skilled player on Shadow Fiend can beat a TA, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Even skill, I think TA wins.
Yes. It's an easier lane for TA at face value. Shadow Fiend doesn't have a lot to deal with refraction.
Right
You throw the
clicks, baby.
Yeah, throw the right clicks, shadow raises here and there, but, he ain't no Dark Seer on that front. I like this last ban from the Nyx Assassins. The Keeper of the Light would have worked very well in this eHug lineup and would have been very comparable to what Liquid have been doing with their aggro try, the Mirana, Wraith King, and Keeper of the Light that has been rather successful. And Naga, the final ban from eHug. Not a bad ban either. I guess they could have gotten away with a solo mid Naga here.
Oh, see, both of the bottom
you
counters
go.
are here.
There you go, Merlini. You're calling it left and right.
Dude, Disruptor Slark, they just own Mirana all day.
Yeah,
but
it's really good.
They don't work in every lineup, which is unfortunate. Disruptor really bad versus BKB, Slark very bad versus Doom, versus Bloodseeker, versus... He's not terribly great versus Shadow Fiend either, so... I think Sneaking Nyx has actually drafted pretty well around the Slark.
I think so too. I like this SNA lineup. They have a good mix of carry and mid-game aggression.
And team fight.
Yeah, team fight. That's what I'm talking about. Right around that like 15, 20 minute mark, maybe even a little bit earlier, they'll be able to group up. They'll have Ravages all over the place, a lot of AoE damage. And if this Slark gets some momentum early on in lane, he will definitely be a force to be reckoned with. Especially if this Enchantress has a pretty good start as well.
She can do some work.
Yeah, a lot of these heroes rather susceptible to gank. Support Wraith King. It's easy to make him look good based on like the kind of game we last saw here on the BTS2 stream, where Wraith King has a Mirana to follow up and they're just picking up kills left and right. If that backfires and he falls behind, he doesn't have anywhere to get experience, can't hit level 6. He doesn't become useless, but doesn't look nearly as impressive. eHug will grab a Visage for their 5th pick. Interesting.
Visage is okay. He can't really do anything for Slark. You don't really want supports that are just going to get just crushed by a Slark. And things like Rasta, things like Lion are just food for him. Visage is kind of food. It does give them a lot of burst damage in that tri lane though. And I do expect it to be a safe lane try for eHug. I don't think they'll want to aggressive versus Enchantress. That's just asking to be punished.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, how well does that Mirana Wraith King +1 aggro try work if you don't have a massive space creator like Keeper of the Light? Visage, he is really good in tri lanes because of Soul Assumption, but he doesn't have that same level of
it's not good versus
just nuke you down.
Enchantress will... a good Enchantress will just absolutely destroy that.
So what does that mean for eHug, though? They pick this aggressive tri lane that they're going to have to defensive.
No, they just have defensive try.
Yeah, just defensive it, and...
It's not as great, but... They do need... Levels are still useful on Wraith King and Visage.
Yeah. Well, Visage in particular. That's part of the problem with him as a support is he can't do nearly as much until he hits
Dude,
level
the
6.
roaming level 1 Grave Chills, it's legit. We just haven't seen it in a while because no one plays Visage anymore.
Is it still legit? Grave
It's
Chill's
still good, yeah.
Gotten some nerfs along the way.
They only nerfed the cooldown on it. It's still good at level 1.
Okay.
It was 10 seconds at all levels, now it's 16. But you can still, like, First Blood people, you can still trade regen very effectively in the mid lane. So, I mean, the days of roaming Visage are past. Still doesn't mean, or it can still work.
Okay.
They can make it work.
We'll see how eHug do it. Let's introduce some rosters here. On the Radiant side, we do have Team eHug. It'll be Pandago on the support Wraith King here in the bottom lane. This is Jigglebilly here on Mirana. He's tagged up as no, but that is the Jiggler. He'll be on the position 1 in the safe lane. Justin will be solo mid on the TA. I'm a Sheep will be on the Visage. Maybe roaming around, stationed about the top rune right now. And, of course, Cakes here in the off lane Nyx Assassin.
I think if Jigglebilly plays like Lee normally does on the bottom, they're going to get destroyed. I think if he goes like Midas and farms, he's just going to die to Slark over and over. There's no real good item to get versus a Slark, which is the big problem. Especially if Slark gets a Shadow Blade and free farm, which he probably is. He's up against a Nyx Assassin. Nyx Assassin Carapace doesn't really do anything versus a Slark, because he'll just Dark Pact it off as well as the Impale, so he doesn't have any good defensive abilities versus them until he gets level 6, but the chances of him hitting level 6 relatively early in this lane is very abysmal.
Yep. And on the dire side, we do have the sneaky Nyx Assassins hot off their win over the North American Rejects. We got IX Mike 88 playing the Tidehunter in the off lane. In the mid, that gives us Ush on the Shadow Fiend. Fluff and Stuff will be on the Enchantress in the jungle. And up here in the safe lane, it will be SNA on the position 1 Slark. And our good friend Whitebeard will be playing the Disruptor here supporting. And this is actually the hero he was
He's
just
not your
playing.
good friend.
This is the hero that he was playing against the North American Rejects last game. And I will say, jokes aside, he did play a pretty damn good Disruptor.
Versus Wisp. He's played versus Wisp. That's easy.
Wisp. All right, still good though. Yeah, fair enough. It was a good counter, but he did play a pretty good Disruptor. And as we've mentioned, Disruptor is a pretty high skill cap hero, and well.
Oh, he had that GG Static Storm. I saw that.
Yeah, he made some decent plays that game. I didn't watch the whole game. I got to see kind of the tail end of it, but up top, Cakes gets initiated upon already, holding on to that first skill point, but getting zoned out right now by the Thunder Strike. Will proc.
He should have casted it earlier.
Little stun there.
He could have stopped like 2 last hits maybe, and which is a tango if he cast it earlier. If you're gonna cast it early, not at the end when he's not right clicking you anymore. That was a little strange.
Yep. Well, Cakes will get some free creeps here as they shove into the tower already. No block on the pull camp, so Disruptor will be able to get a little bit of lane control back, but Cakes off to an okay start here, at least partway through level 2. We'll probably grab level 3 following this wave. So that is good news for him. The dire offlaner, well,
Cakes
gotten a few creeps as well. Oh, they're going to dive and pounce off the mark. Yeah, I don't think they'll be able to do it. They needed that to leash.
And they're... Ooh, I thought they were going to actually tank some tower hits, but no. No, Cakes is all good. He's all fast.
Yeah, he doesn't
have any CS, though. Ooh.
Those booties. Ooh. Yeah, he got 2, but yeah, there were a lot of creeps under the tower. I guess it is hard for the Nyx to last hit under the tower. Let's see what's going on in the mid lane here. Oh, look at this from the Enchantress. A Satyr Mindstealer burning all of the mana from Justin on this TA, so no refraction for you. Still last hitting very well compared to the Shadow Fiend. 12 and 9 versus the 3 and 1 Ush. Of course, it is difficult for Shadow Fiend in the early levels, but TA smashing right now.
Yeah, and how did he get a bottle that fast? Yeah, that's very fast. You don't usually see Wraithband, Branch, and a bottle coming out before 2 minutes, but it looks like he was able to do that. But on flip side, Ush, he only has 450 gold with a similar build.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not sure how effective that mana burn really is against the TA. Yeah, she can't refraction, which is good, but Shadow Fiend can't really pressure her that hard in the early levels anyway, where that mana really comes into play. The Psyblades are doing enough work at the moment, it seems.
Better than doing nothing as Enchantress.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, Cakes misses a stun on top.
Oh, he will get Thunderstruck again. I don't know why it's off to the side like that, but a little orb following him around. How is Tidehunter doing in the offlane? IX Mike still only level 2. Let's have that first point in Kraken Shell. So he's hanging in there, but pretty zoned out. He's not even venturing forward. Has no ward coverage down. Looks like they might have counter-warded him here. There's a sentry down. So
Elgato!
Yeah, IX Mike just completely zoned out. I think he could start stacking the Ancients. Well, he'd like to, but actually they'll block that. He got 1 stack off, but...
Do you see this Elgato courier?
Deny.
Look how many games he's watched. My goodness.
631. Wow, Pandago. Feeling the respect, man.
Ham Dago.
That's legit. Ham Dago going ham, living up to his name.
Wraith King already with the TP scroll, so I guess that's mostly for the top dive. What are you laughing at?
Already, he's picked up a TP scroll. Groundbreaking items.
You usually don't see TP scrolls on supports this early. It's noteworthy.
I mean, he has 350 gold still. He's picked up once. Where did he get all this money from? I guess he didn't buy too much with his starting items.
No, he didn't buy boots yet. But
Okay.
it's unusual that you'll see TP scrolls on supports before boots, especially one on Wraith King.
Okay, yeah.
Because he's like an offensive support rather than a defensive support.
Right.
Like Dazzle, you'll see it much more commonly. So he's already TPing top. He's coming in play.
Cakes.
But that was
wasted his hard-earned TP there.
Yeah, well, that was anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Sorry I hyped up the TP scroll, but that's in retrospect.
Well, you know, you can't win them all. Shadow Fiend finding a little bit of recovery here in the mid. He's at least 13 and 4 now. Into the double digits, has the double damage rune bottled up, and racking up those souls. So Justin's life getting a little more difficult. Has himself Boots of Speed picked up, and now Shadow Fiend will be able to grab his as well. And yeah, that's the 4-minute rune in the Shadow Fiend bottle. With that TP top, IX Mike has been able to press forward a bit more safely and at least leeching some experience.
And that was a mistake. He shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, still wasn't grabbing XP, but... Or pardon me, still wasn't grabbing last hits, but still able to get some experience. So that TP cost Pandago more than the cost of just the TP scroll itself, giving IX Mike more farm. But Cakes is still way out farming him and getting a lot more experience. Well on his way to level 5. This is a late first blood coming out here, Merlini, and uh-oh, glimpse back. Cakes will get off the Carapace. We'll try and TP home. They don't have the damage. Nice heads-up play. He makes it out.
Fluff is smoked up. Looks like he's gunning for the TA, but I don't know. Not with these assortment of creeps, or is he just trying to wrap around top so they can catch Cakes off guard? He's going to have to sit there for a good 20 seconds in order to do so, and they do have a TP scroll on the Visage in case a dive happens. How about Wraith King? Wraith King's picked up boots, no TP scroll, so in case anyone comes, it's only going to be the Visit, and I don't really think he can do that much versus this.
Yeah.
And actually, they can glimpse whoever TP's back.
Yeah, the smoke will expire, but Fluff still stationed here. He did lose his Satyr Tormentor. All he has is the Centaur Conqueror, but I think that's all he needs.
Oh, nice
Impale
double stun.
Will connect on 2. Cakes under the tower, doing some damage to Whitebeard.
TP!
Burns his mana. No TP coming in. While we're looking at this, they'll actually get the first blood down bottom. Cakes will still fall. Disruptor gets the kill. But eHug secure the first blood down bottom. They get it onto the Tidehunter, and they will be able to take out this tower, it looks like. So both teams with the same strategy here in their safe lane. Uh-oh. Will it be enough for a kill here? Justin chasing him down. Another side trap comes out. Hush. Yeah, I think he's slated to fall. Easy for Justin.
Oh, God, though. Yeah, I mean, TA versus SF is just... It's not easy in the early game. Later, it's okay. You have Requiem for a lot of instances of damage. You'll have BKB, so you won't just be hunted down like prey.
Well, 2-1. eHug with a little momentum to get things started. They have about 1,000 gold lead, only 100 experience, but off to the races. TA now level 8 compared to the level 7 Shadow Fiend. So Justin has taken over the mid lane. 1,500 gold. We'll see where he goes in terms of item build. Shadow Fiend maybe looking for a fast Handamitis, but how fast will it be after taking a spill like that?
Oh, wow. That was close.
A lot of burst damage. Nice sidestepping from Justin, though.
That actually looked like it connected.
Yeah.
Well,
that last one was way too close for comfort.
Enchantress level 3 untouchable already, and we'll see a lot of Enchantress different in the builds, but it looks like they probably want to gear for an early Roshan, maybe with level 1 Presence of the Dark Lord on the Shadow Fiend.
Yeah. And this is kind of signature to Fluff. He really likes those early untouchable points. And it comes in handy. I mean, we've seen those times where...
It's super good.
Yeah, we've seen those times where that ultra-long wind-up is... Vendettas are coming to mind where... Still gets the damage off, but takes him a little bit longer. Cakes just trying to soak up some XP. Very close to level 6, halfway through level 5.
You can always do the chicken MC counter to untouchable.
Yeah, what's that?
It's the Dagon...
Oh, yeah.
Dagon Storm.
Dagon Storm.
Yeah. First of his name, hashtag.
First of his name, getting the Dagon. And... Still a very quiet game, though. Everyone's just farming away. IX Mike... Still trying to stack up his Ancients. We'll get a... Is that a triple stack of Golems here, as well as some Black Drakes? Yeah, looks like it. So that ward block did expire, and he's stacking it up. That is good news. Good utilization.
We haven't actually seen Tidehunters do this.
Yeah.
Which is a little surprising.
Yeah, Anchor Smash works on Ancients, so he can clear this out. And this is one of the benefits to Tide off lane, and part of the reason why he was playing so safe. Pandago, Invisibility Rune does scout out Ush. There will be a rotation from the TA coming in. And he could be in some trouble here. There's a lot of support inbound, though. Fluff on the high ground. Pandago, his invis is about to expire. Oh, no. They're all right there. Whitebeard trying to decide if he wants to glimpse him back. Yeah, he'll go for it. Moonlight Shadow comes out. There is dire detection down. Pandago will be the first to fall. Now SNA joining the party. Looking for Cakes. They'll find him. He gets stunned up by one of the Centaurs. The other Hoof Stomp still on cooldown. Cakes with a big stun connects on 3, as well as the 2 Centaurs. He's on the run, completely out of mana, and they'll still be able to chase him down. The Pounce will leash. It'll be a 2-for-0 going the way of the Nyx Assassins. Justin on the run, and I think he'll be able to survive this one.
So it's not just trying to play passively. They still need a couple of things until they're in good fighting position. Of course, if they present opportunities like that, walking up a hill into a Sentry Ward, they'll take it. But until then, they just need to wait it out. Whitebeard already level 6 on the Disruptor, doing very well. Tidehunter only level 5, but they need him to do the Ancient Stacks, need him to get level 6. They need the Shadow Blade out on Slark, and they need the Midas plus probably one more item on Shadow Fiend. So they still have like another 5 minutes to go until they can actually start pressuring towers, defending towers, and threatening important objectives like Roshan. On the flip side, eHug, Wraith King only level 4. Nyx Assassin is level 6, but he has no Arcane, so he can't do that much. Mirana, no Midas, going with the Casual Bracer, as well as Aquila, and T is also going for Midas. So I don't expect pressure coming out from either of these teams anytime soon. Maybe Visage and Nyx Assassin can roam around as a duo, since I'm a Sheep Sucks is actually level 6.
Yeah, and TA as well as Shadow Fiend will get their Midases out at almost the exact same time. So even though Justin had an edge in the lane, they will get that big farming tool pretty much on point with one another. The biggest disparity right now is the support levels. Like you mentioned, Wraith King only level 4. Both supports on the Dire are indeed level 6. But I'm a Sheep. He's now hit 6. Familiars are on the field, and he's taken out Ancient. So that is good news for eHug, and at least they're able to find one of their supports, some farm around the map. This big fatty Ancient stack here from IX Mike still has been untouched, but I believe this is a 5 stack. That's a lot of golems. Some Thunder Hides, yeah, so they'll be able to retreat to that before too long. IX Mike, level 5, still no Ravage on the field, but he does have 3 points to that Anchor Smash. So he will be looking to clear out Ancients for sure.
Yep. So, you know, some guy just joined a game called One Ziori. It was the BTS Obs. I don't know who that is.
What is happening?
I don't know.
Who is BTS Obs? They should not be in this game. Some trickery is afoot here, Merlini.
I have no idea what's going on.
I'm Ziori, and I'm upstairs. Oh, God. Well, SNA, they'll group up, pressure this tower. Courier. Oh, wow, it'll walk right through him. Courier gets picked off. Now the Moonlight Shadow will be successful. Dire Ward comes down, but here we go. Disruptor, first to fall. They'll be able to take down the Tidehunter. eHug, looking good. Fluff, taking hefty damage as well. Now it's a 3-for-0. And that is just a successful wraparound.
I just talked about how SNA, they need to wait for at least a Ravage. If they have a Ravage right there, they destroy that fight. They like walk right on top of them. But now eHug, so they're right back in the game. That was a move that they didn't need to do. Shadow Fiend didn't die. Neither did Slark. But, oh, actually, Slark might die in mid.
Ooh.
Gets arrowed out at tower.
Nah, he's alright. He'll be able to walk back.
Dire's top tower.
But, yeah.
That was a strange push.
I mean, just glancing at the graph, now it's a 2,000 lead for eHug.
Yeah, they didn't need a push there. That was, I mean, it's silly. And that was also a good wraparound from eHug. You got to give them credit for the smoke around with Mirana's Shadow, Moonlight Shadow.
Absolutely. The Dire were able to put down this Sentry Ward here right as it came, but the jig was already up. And eHug also got the Courier to start off that fight, we can't forget. Which is a nice little gold boost there as well. So
Elgato is the one and only.
The one and only true Courier.
He's alive.
He's alive. The real Elgato's dead, but this Elgato will live on forever. Nyx Assassin, almost level 8. He does have a bottle, so you mentioned he doesn't have Arcanes, but at least has bottle, Magic Stick, so he does have some mana sustain. And we'll be able to grab his Arcanes pretty soon here as he farms away in the bottom lane. Wraith King now hit level 6 following that successful team fight. No value point in the Mortal Strike, but did get that second point in Vampiric Aura very early on, so we'll be supporting the team via Lifesteal. Visage well on his way to a mech as the 2 core pieces, just trying to pull up enough for that recipe. Still pretty far away from that last piece, but
I'm surprised he went level 2 Vampiric Aura. I actually think he really needs the mana from the stats, because Slark will steal his stats if he's not careful.
Yeah,
so if he has 1 stun, he's down what, 200 mana. So it just takes like 5 or 6 Slark hits for him to run out of mana, and him not even being able to stun again too is an issue. So
yep. And now they will do some tower exchanging here. Bottom tier 1 for eHug. And the top tier 1 goes down as well. The tier 2 getting pressured pretty heavily by SNA. They will retreat as eHug do get in position to make a hold. All 5 of them will rotate. And with that, SNA will just back out. So that was a pretty expensive rotation because, well, SNA himself on the Slark is farming away in the bottom lane. Cakes vendetted up. He will press forward. Perhaps remembers there's a sentry down. Or just jukes to the side.
Vanish.
Moonlight Shadow popped.
They have an Observer Ward right on them, though.
Get carried away. Oh, yeah, here it is. They saw it. So they will retreat to the tower.
Are they going to shoot an arrow, though? I don't know. They go for an arrow here.
There is a Ravage available this time. That is the big tide turner.
Yeah, and Static Storm Disruptor. If they get caught out by that, they're going to get wiped.
Yeah. Whitebeard was also the first to die in the last fight, so that stopped him from getting off his rotation before he went down also. A good hero to focus down. Pandago, he'll get Thunderstruck. Fluff takes a Wraithfire Blast. Justin coming in, throws out a Side Trap. Actually doing a little damage to Fluff there. Compliments of his Side Blades. But no, he'll survive. Slark, the big daddy, he grabs himself the Shadow Blade. And one step on his way to being a little more scary. IX Mike gets hit by an arrow. Pandago coming in, considering the Wraithfire Blast, but does retreat, and instead they'll settle for a top tier 1 tower kill.
Wrong target for them to hit, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But early Medallion, President of Dark Lord, time to do Roche. Level 3 untouchable. They need a Psionic Trap in there. That's a big oversight by Justin not having one.
Yeah, that is just a free ward that you can put in there, and this is an easy Roche. You mentioned all that minus armor, but those early untouchable points from Fluff make this unbelievably easy. Roche will fall uncontested, gets pinged out, but eHug not in a position to contest. 15 minutes in, Roshan has fallen to the Dire, and Ush will grab himself an Aegis, and he's moving straight into BKB. Ogre Club Mithril Hammer already purchased.
He needs to BKB. I don't think a Blink is that bad this game, because he can follow up with the Ravage. Like, if he Ravages Static Storm Kinetic Field, jumps in, and Requiems, they win the fight. No BKB necessary. But at the same time, it is a little bit safer. But I mean, here he has the Aegis. We saw the Shadow Fiend last game. He went for a Blink after BKB. I think before it's perfectly fine, perfectly reasonable in most situations.
You mean BKB before?
No.
Or Blink first?
Blink first.
Yeah.
It was Koifa who went the Blink after the BKB.
Yeah.
But that's just the safer build. But you can't actually get that many kills with just a plain BKB, unfortunately.
Oh, Slark. He's using that Shadow Blade. Walks into a Sentry Ward, but it doesn't matter. They'll proc Pandago's Reincarnate, and they might be able to kill him again. He will have a Wraithfire Blast, chucking that Impetus, but he is just not tanky. He'll get Gushed. He gets finished off. Now Cake's coming in, connects with the Vendetta. SNA will fall. IX Mike with the Ravage, connects on 2. Moonlight Shadow comes out. eHug, they've got the reinforcements. Everyone joining this party. They take down IX Mike, and now Fluff and stuff. He's on the run. He'll get dropped. Whitebeard comes in. A decent Static Storm Kinetic Field, but they're just outnumbered at this point. There's only 2 alive. Now Whitebeard on the run. Moonlight Shadow still deployed. He's out of mana. He will get picked off, but it's for the greater good. Ush walks away. One last Meld Strike, dominating streak from Justin. Another huge team fight for eHug. Mirana, TA, and Visage, all 3 of them have yet to take a death.
Again, SNA just making these very questionable plays. If they want to go and take fights on the opponent's side of the map, then they can just bring 5. They can get a mech. Oh, they have the mech on Enchantress, but they can just push this 5 with Ravage, with BKB Shadow Fiend soon. They can take fights, and maybe if they had the Aegis on Slark, that would have been a better play for them to make. But they just got greedy. They don't need to take that aggressive fight. Yes, he has a Shadow Blade, but you got the 260-second Reincarnation ult. Is that not enough?
Yeah. And Cakes will stun up Ush as he rotates towards the mid. Dire Glyph was used, and it will keep this tier 1 tower in the mid alive. 550 hit points. Still standing strong. That is a big tower on the Dire side. That's their access point to defending Roche. And Radiant have already lost theirs, so they do want to try and take that tower out if possible. And, of course, SNA eager to defend. SNA need to be careful, though. They really don't want to take a fight right now without Ravage. Static Storm coming up in 10 seconds. This is not an ideal time to fight. And, yeah, they will rotate down towards the bottom lane. It looks like BKB now picked up on the Shadow Fiend. And you did mention that mech is up on the Enchantress now.
Well, SNA in a pretty decently fortified position, but they don't actually have a Sentry Ward in case they Moonlight Shadow up the hill. And it was also scouted out by the Visage Birds. So SNA, where's the supports? Where's your Sentry Wards? If you get Moonlight Shadow, there's a Nyx in the game for crying out loud. This could be a very compromising position. They actually don't have eyes on anyone else on the map right now.
They have a Dust on Tidehunter. That's their only detection.
And they don't have Ravage up. This is potentially a bad situation.
Arrow flies through, hits one of the Ancients, so it doesn't do too much. One of the Gargoyles will stun out the Tide, but eHug won't contest this. Instead, they'll find Fluff in the mid lane. SNA coming forward. They will hop on top of Cakes, and he'll be the first to go down. Nature's Attendants come out. That'll help heal up Slark. And, ooh, glimpse back on the Mirana, right into a Kinetic Field Static Storm. Great setup from Whitebeard. And now Jiggle Billy will fall. The rest of his team coming in. Justin has a Haste Rune on. Soul Assumption out on IX Mike. Ravage coming up in 3 seconds. They might turn this fight around. Pandego, no ultimate available. He gets gushed. He will fall. SNA, 3-0 in this exchange, and they're not done yet. They find Justin. Haystroon about to expire. He'll get glimpsed back as well, but it's almost too far back. Kinetic Field comes out. He will meld. There's your Sentry Ward. Nice familiar stuns, but will it be enough to keep Justin alive? It doesn't look like it. He has to wrap around to the high ground, and he will fall, but he takes IX Mike down with him. Popping that BKB, at least finds a recovery kill, but that's a mega streak down, and they get the Visage Familiar. Wow, Whitebeard actually getting a nice 700 gold bounty for that.
Yeah, 2 sick glimpses set up that fight.
Yep.
That's the thing about Mirana. Now, look at her item build. She's actually forced to go with BKB because of the Ravage and the Disruptor. And when your Mirana goes BKB first item, well, Drums, yeah. Drums doesn't really give you that much damage. She can't do any right clicks, and they really rely on the TA. And TA has BKB, but I don't know how long he's going to stay alive. Slark can kite her very, very easily. Shadow Fiend can't really man-fight her, but he has the Aegis, so he doesn't really mind.
Is that
Shadow Fiend?
what? I heard rumbling as it was the wind. I was thinking for a second we were having an earthquake.
Nah.
Just a little bit of rumble. Hey, man. Trying to get used to that California life. Oh, man. So, 8 to 10.
Hey, they pick up a gem. This is super early for SNA.
Yeah. Look at that. Who's going to be the gem carrier is the question.
I don't know. Slark dies a lot. I mean, that time on bottom he had Shadow Dance up, but except he didn't Shadow Dance because he expected a Ravage. So I guess if they coordinate properly, they can carry a gem. I think Tidehunter is a slightly better.
Okay. SNA's the one
carrier.
with it for now. So
Yeah.
it was bought by Fluff. IX Mike has picked up a Blink, which is great, and Ush now goes straight into Chrysalis. So a pretty similar build to the Shadow Fiend we saw last game, less stat of the Blink, but just going BKB right into those big right clicks. Uh-oh, double damage rune picked up on Shadow Fiend. They'll do a 4-man smoke down near the bottom river. Meanwhile, eHug, they did smoke into the dire jungle. Of course, they found no one. They may try and wrap around to the mid lane here. Fluff is all by his lonesome. His allies are getting aggressive. They put a lane ward down in the mid, but they are nowhere to be found. If they jump on this Enchantress, I think she will fall. Familiars starting it off. Side trap, connect with the slow. There's your Wraithfire Blast. Nature's Attendant's already out. Pops the mech. Will be enough to stay alive. It is for now. IX Mike with a big Ravage. Connects on 4. Enchantress survives. Now turns on to Pandego. Procs the ultimate. SNA takes heavy damage as he hops in as well. Arrow flies through. Hits a creep. Doesn't hit one of the heroes. Static Storm Kinetic Field isolates Justin and Pandego. But now Justin just pops his BKB. He goes forward. He finally finishes off Fluff. He'll be the first to go down. Shadow Fiend coming around the backside. Secures the kill on the Wraith King. Now we'll just right-click down Justin with that double damage rune. It's enough. Gets the uphill attack. Doesn't miss. And now he'll just press forward. One-shotting the Familiars. That's a nice 200 gold bounty there as well. Another beautiful Kinetic Field. Potentially setting up some more kills. Visage, heads-up play to TP out. Cakes will walk away. And it ends as a 1-for-2 for SNA. Unless another clutch glimpse coming out on the Cakes. He will pop the Spike Carapace a little early. Does throw out the Impale on Mike. Not enough follow-up damage, and it will be a 1-for-3.
Radiant's middle tower
Power
is
of the
under attack.
Disruptor, man.
Yeah, this hero is tearing it up this game. Whitebeard pretty close to a Blink Dagger as well, if that's what he wants to go for. Or well on his way to an Egg Scepter. Both could be viable.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
And now it looks like SNA is starting to run away with it a little here.
Radiant's
5,000
bottom
gold,
tower
5,000
is under
experience
attack.
going in their favor. They're in pretty good shape. It's tied up 11 to 11, but the Dire team have way more momentum. Shadow Fiend about 3,000 up on the TA in terms of net worth.
So SNA's playing decently, but I don't know if it's that great because they
Radiant's bottom tower
made
is
2 big
under
mistakes.
attack.
One's pushing under here, and another one is taking like a couple of deaths here. So they pretty much gave like 5 or 6 deaths uncontested, and they can't make those sort of mistakes if they want to proceed out of the North American qualifiers.
Speaking of mistakes, SNA gets
buddy.
smacked by an arrow, and Justin
and loses the gem.
Meld strikes him down. Was he still carrying the gem there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Wraith King picks it up. That's actually a big mistake.
Yeah, so they have really good team fights when they're actually 5-on-5, but the problem is actually getting there, and they're like split up in these packs occasionally that just do whatever they want, and they need to be a little bit more disciplined, I think is the
a good
right
word.
word here for SNA. I'm worried about their playoff chances.
Yeah. Yeah. Top 4 is the cutoff, but if you're position 3 or position 4, it's rough. You start in the losers bracket, so you're
There's
already
no room
off
for
to a
mistakes.
bad
One
start.
loss in a BO3 and you're out of here.
It's really top 2 where you have that nice, cushy safety security blanket, if you will. But some more item pickups have been made. Whitebeard did, in fact, go for a Blink Dagger next. SNA working on probably a Scotty. Already has that. Oof. And Shadow Fiend, not only level 16, but also picks up his Daedalus now to go with his BKB.
I like the two builds coming out from the Mirana and the TA. They have to get BKB versus Disruptor and Tidehunter. Both of those heroes are useless versus BKB, and if you don't get it, you're gonna lose
Oh,
fights.
speaking of Tidehunter, connects with Ravage on 4. Cakes taking a lot of damage, will get mech'd up, still falls from the head. Tidehunter dies right away. Ush gets off a big Requiem, and now they'll just go to town. Mirana pops the BKB, but still falls. It is a 1-for-2 so far, but it is not done yet. Justin, he gets caught inside the kinetic field static storm. A 1-for-3 for SNA. Mike plays the sacrificial lamb, and it proves successful. They'll take that tied for 3 any day of the week. I'm a sheep, moves into the fog, looking to TP home. He'll make it out, but just barely.
Ush is just hitting way too damn hard right now. 633 crits, and on top of that, he has -6 armor. That's just makes all these heroes' lives miserable. And that's the thing about gearing up against this lineup against SNA. If you gear for magical immunity, you won't have any physical damage resistance. And yeah, TA has refraction, but it's not really going to do that much in a team fight. So what else are they supposed to get? If they don't get BKBs, they'll get manhandled by Static Storm and Ravage. If they get armor, yeah. I mean, how do you build? And this is the problem with a Mirana and a TA. They're good heroes and they can take fights early, but when you have to get a BKB, that limits your damage output a lot. And I mean, Shadow Fiend, he has BKB and he still probably win a man fight against these two heroes. And not only does he have a BKB, he has Daedalus, 3,000 gold, a Midas, and an Aegis. So his net worth is just off the charts right now, 16,600 gold compared to, let's say, Mirana sitting at 9,000, so almost doubling up her. TA only 11,000 too, so this is rough.
Yes, indeed.
Who is this guy?
I really like. How are these people getting the lobby passwords?
I don't know.
I really have no clue who that is.
You should
Somebody's
pick.
tagged up as BTS obs. I'm just a humble caster here. I'm not the admin for TI Qualifiers. I don't know. I would be glad to kick him though, IRL and in game. Anyhow. Yeah, they're looking good, and to compliment what you were saying, basically damned if you do, damned if you don't in terms of BKBs this game, and I think it's part of the reason this Daedalus first after BKB was such a smart item from us, just going raw right-click, as much physical damage as possible to complement all that magical setup between the Disruptor and the Ravage. Ravage coming up in about 20 seconds, so SNA
Oh, we got glimpsed back.
won't want to force the issue. Oh, yes, indeed. That's the TA. Back to the top lane. There is a glyph available. This tower's already taken a lot of damage. Now they'll go forward. Mirana, BKB on. Static Storm comes out. Not very well placed here, but Whitebeard stays alive. That's what's important. Now Ush going forward. Requiem of Souls does connect on a few. Moonlight Shadow comes out. There are some sentries down, but not inside the base, so they'll have to take a fight far back, and they're just trying to bide their time. Mike, Ravage coming up right now. Whitebeard glimpses back to Mirana. This could be a big Ravage from Mike, but oh, he goes down before he can get it. Now Ush trying to right-click him down. He will fall. That procs the Aegis. The other side of this fight, the Wraith King will get procced as well. Ush coming back up. Now taking heavy damage from Justin. He's finally joined the party. This is a disaster for SNA. Now, SNA himself left all alone as Fluff tries to retreat. Buyback from the Mirana. So it didn't come for free, and they did lose their tier 3 tower here in the bottom. So it's not all bad for SNA, but a very sloppy team fight. They never even got to use the Ravage. And Fluff will get picked off to finish it off.
It was a good idea. What they had, if they had the gem, it would have been a little bit different because they actually wasted a lot of the uptime on Shadow Fiend's BKB because he was trying to kill people that were Moonlight Shadow under their tower. So if they had dropped a sentry under the tower or had a gem, then they could have won the fight. They were trying to force a 4-on-5 without TA there because she got glimpsed back, and she's just not going to BKB a glimpse. If she does, then they'll just win when she comes back. So I can understand what they were doing, but it took a little bit too long for them to engage because the Moonlight Shadow bought them enough time. He didn't want to Ravage into there because they were into a well-fortified position. And SNA, again, with these mistakes, they're getting the lead, and they're maintaining a lead at 8,000. But I think more experienced teams would have closed it out by now.
Yeah, and sorry here, dealing with reports of frame drops on this stream, but yeah, I wasn't listening to that last thing you said. I'm sorry, Merlini.
No, it's okay. I was saying that SNA, again, they had a very good lead, but they're just giving away free fights, which you can't do at this level of play.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a hugely obvious mistake, but they need detection. They need detection against Moonlight Shadow.
Yeah.
I think that's...
I mean, they could have just waited for the Ravage. It was coming up in 20
They
seconds.
could've
They don't have to push into the tower.
They wanted
like
to fight with TA not there.
Yeah.
So it's like you're trading your Ravage for not having a TA. That's it's not bad.
It's not bad, but they could have just reset that a little more. And there were too many of those. Oh, maybe we can just get this one kill, and
They would have if they had
detection. Though.
Yeah.
They would have killed, I think, 2 people with
Yeah,
detection.
I guess that is the overarching issue there more so than anything else. But eHug did a really good job of not committing to that fight, but committing just enough to keep the Nyx assassins around to buy time for TA to walk all the way back.
eHug played that really well.
Yeah,
I see the E and the G and
yeah, I know. You're not the only one. I heard LD doing it earlier, and
so Shadow Fiend has picked up an HOD, so that's
and an Eagle Song.
And an Eagle Song.
He's
so
huge, dude.
That's a ton of armor versus a TA. So it's really important that he can just stand there and stand his ground and not have to worry about the TA maining up on him, especially with like maybe eventually a Desolator. Desolator's actually already out from TA, so he's not even sitting in negative armor territory after Melt Strike and Desolator. That's only -15. He'll still have 3 armor. Once he gets his Butterfly, he'll have even more armor and a little bit of evasion to boot. So he's always 1 item ahead of this TA.
Yeah, exactly. Now he's just farmed enough that he's literally 5,000 ahead, and yeah, has quite a leg up over her. Now with this barracks exposed, there's no glyph available, and they'll just go straight for the racks. Cakes comes in, connects with a stun onto Ush. Arrow to follow up, but Justin blinks in, or Mike blinks in, and he'll intercept it. eHug already popped their BKBs, and Justin without a BKB for the rest of this fight is a little bit scary. Ravage is ready to rock and roll.
You do have to preemptively BKB a Tidehunter. It's very difficult to do it reactively.
Yeah. It's true, but it's scary now. They get another stun out onto Ush. Melee Rack still the target of choice. SNA will get focused down. Justin gets that one. The Met comes out just a little too late. They still get the Melee Racks, though. So SNA get what they came for, and now it's just trying to make the retreat and minimize their losses.
If they push up this hill, I think they'll get wiped. The Ravage into...
Oh, they'll come up the hill. Mike gets stunned out. Can they bring him down? Yeah, they sure can. They'll get the Shadow Fiend as well. Beautiful stun coming out from Jigglebilly to lock down the Tide. Fluff now the target of choice. It'll be a 4-0. eHug with the hold.
Cakes. I think that Impale just saved their lives.
It set the whole thing up.
They were about to walk into a Ravage into a BKB Requiem. And eHug with the plays, man. Again, Tidehunter dies without using his Ravage. He had some really nice Ravages last game. This game, he has a Blink Dagger. He doesn't have to stand in position. He can hide in the trees and wait for them to push up the hill. If he doesn't die, then and they only stun the Shadow Fiend, they can win the fight too, because he just interrupts everything with the Ravage. TA doesn't have his BKB up, and they can turn it around. So, man, I don't know about this. eHug, they're, what, only 4,000 gold behind now on the back of that. It was 8,000. They did get the Melee Racks, though.
Yeah, that's... I don't know. I don't know if that was really worth it,
I don't think it was worth
the
it.
Melee Racks are good, but this is turning into a pretty interesting game here. 31 minutes. Leveled out in experience, and yeah, the gold is pretty much meaningless. A small lead. They did get the gem back as well. Wraith King is carrying it. And looking at item progression on the Dire, there was a Scotty out on Sark. I'm not sure if we mentioned that. 3rd Roche coming up reasonably soon. Still a little bit far away. I think if SNA can get 3rd Roche, they'll be in pretty good shape.
Yeah. Aegis, G's, Butterfly, all kicking in for Shadow Fiend.
For eHug, it's all about the positioning, though. They need to be around the Roche Pit when they go in and be prepared to contest. There is a trap down in the pit now.
All about playing around the Ravage, I think.
Yeah.
If they can kill IX Mike before Ravage, which shouldn't happen, but he has died a couple of times. If they can do that, they can win the fight. But if they don't, and they get Ravage before they pop their BKBs, or they waste their BKBs and then get Ravage, then they'll lose the fight. Or at least, unless they have some really sick plays, like the Cakes 2-man Impale up the hill.
Yeah. But at least having the side trap down, that's a step in the right direction. And the last 2 Roches, they were on the other side.
They can't
of the map.
contest it anyways. Yeah. But it's still nice to know that they're doing Roshan. It's a psionic trap. It's one of what 11 that you can have.
Exactly.
There's no reason not to have it in there.
Yeah, and
but
you never know.
I really need vision of this neutral camp.
Well, you never know. I mean, maybe they could set something up with an arrow.
There's nothing more important than having one there as opposed to.
No, I mean trying to contest a Roche. Oh. It's not easy, but
it's so fast though. They have Gush on top of Medallion and Presence of Dark
armor.
Lord. I don't know. That's too much.
Yeah, Butterfly is also out on the Shadow Fiend, so see, he is still huge. It'll be a reasonably timed Roche, about 1:30. Arrow from the Roche Pit actually will hit SNA. Do they really want to go in on this? Yeah, they'll get the Dire Courier as well. They'll start up this fight. They'll drop this. They'll drop SNA to get things started. Ush, BKB pop, doing a lot of damage. Fandango in the front lines. There's the Reincarnate. Mike throws out the Ravage just to lock down Justin. They do secure that kill, but now the rest of the team's coming in. No BKB available on Ush. They'll just try and stun lock him down. Do they have the damage? Yes, they do. The Static Storm Kinetic Field isolates Sheep. They'll get that kill, but at what cost right here? Mike finishes him off. Mike will go down. Now Fluff could be the target of choice. Looks like TA did buy back. Will be rejoining the party just about right now. And Cakes taking damage, does get a nice stun onto Fluff. The Gargoyle's laying into him, and Justin just drops him with that Desolator Meld Strike. And Whitebeard, he'll retreat. Disastrous for Sna.
Sna's just playing super sloppy this game. It's really strange.
It's sad this is a little too early for eHug, though. Just bad luck here. If this was maybe 30 seconds later, they'd have a free third Roche. But instead, they'll have to settle for pushing up the mid lane. What's the buyback
I don't know.
status?
I actually think they can still do Roche.
Maybe. Yeah, Shadow Fiend will be down for 35.
If they're all there, then they can do it. So if they knew it was in 30 seconds, then they could do it. But without, I don't think they'll be around the pit. They can't wait on that small chance that it would be up. They do have the TA trap around there, but I mean TA with a Desolator. Oh, glimpse back
onto Pandago. He doesn't have an ultimate, and he is the gem carrier. But oh, they don't get any damage.
There's a BOT.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm a Sheep sucks. Oh my goodness.
Making the plays. He drops Whitebeard. Now Sna and Mike in the mix. No Ravage for you. They'll both fall again. Sna pops the ultimate. He's trying to make the escape. Gets Soul Assumption. Now they'll just go straight for the tier 3. Glyph has already been used. This is really bad for Sna. eHug might upset this.
I know, dude.
How much damage can they do
eHug's not
here?
that bad, man. Everyone's making fun of old eHug.
Yeah, they had a rough start, to be fair.
I think it's more Nyx just making a lot
No,
of
not in this game. I meant in TI. In the qualifiers, they had a rough start, so that's where some of the negativity comes from.
They need to get this Rex. It's so low.
All right, they get the melee racks here. Justin taking a lot of damage. The BKB saves him. Requiem of Souls off the mark, but will he survive for long? He did buy back before this fight. One last crit will bring him down. He's now in the grave for 100 seconds, and I don't think eHug want to continue on. They will back out.
That's going to be a Aegis and a cheese.
For Sna, yeah, this is...
And they didn't even use buyback on Shadow Fiend, so Shadow Fiend's going to have 3 lives.
They didn't use any buybacks. Oh, this is rough. They get the melee racks, but it's like that bottom fight. Yeah, you got the racks, but was it really worth it for your whole team to get wiped? eHug don't lose their whole team, but third Roche for 1 lane of racks.
It was really unfortunate that the Roche didn't spawn earlier.
Yeah, it really was. That's
a game changer.
Just bad luck.
And I think it could have been a little bit longer, too. How long was the Roche respawn? Maybe like 1.5 minutes?
145.
145. So if it were 3 minutes, then they wouldn't actually lose the Aegis, too. So it's really, really bad luck for eHug.
Yeah.
So Ush, I think that will be his Satanic. He just needs to do this Ancient stack and then farm probably 1 more camp. And here we're almost at a 6 slot of Shadow Fiend here. 22,000 on net worth, but we still see how easily he dies without a BKB. They just have so much stun.
He'll be at the point where he may even just want to grab a fresh BKB before he goes into the full-blown upgraded Helm of the Dominator into Satanic, because the BKB is just crucial. As soon as it expires, they just lock him down, and there's nothing he can do about it. Even with the evasion, they can just stun lock him, and they've got the magic damage to bring him down.
Yes, just too much stun. Like it's what Nyx Carapace into Impale into Wraith King stun into Familiars and the arrow. That's like a good 8 seconds. If you hit a long duration arrow, maybe 10 seconds worth of stun, and that's just way overkill, especially with this TA hitting really hard.
Oh, and speaking of hitting hard, that's a Daedalus now out on the Templar Assassin. So even though Shadow Fiend's still an item up on her, she's still hitting pretty damn hard. If she manages to farm up an MKB, Justin will be able to just right-click down the Shadow Fiend in a man fight, I think.
I think Tidehunter just gets a Ghost Scepter. He's, I think, aiming a little bit too high with the Shiva's Guard. He's 2 and 9, so when you die 9 times, it's very difficult to save up for 2,700 gold for that Mystic Staff, especially when you want to potentially get a refresher by the end of the game. And Ghost Scepter is just so damn good versus TA, as well as Mirana. Like, they can't really do that much versus maybe Visitor will burst you down, but Tidehunter with 1,200 HP probably not going to die that quickly.
Yep. There have been a couple times where he's been stun locked down. It definitely has happened. So, all right, Sna pressing forward, moving into the top tier 3 tower. There is a glyph available, and eHug should be able to defend this pretty easily. Just chunking the tower as best he can. We'll get it down to half health before eHug even react to this. They recognize it's bait, but still. Impale into arrow. They'll be able to bring down the Aegis straight away. Now Sna hops forward. Pretty good for eHug. They pay with a lot of damage on that tower, but they do burn the Aegis. I think a decent hold. They probably could have done that a little earlier, but needed a position for the setup to make that possible. All the big cooldowns are available now. Cheese still on the Shadow Fiend. They will pass it to him after he drops the Aegis. So Ush still rather tanky and basically still has a second life. But look at these Wraith King illusions. Look at that. Cutting the lane.
Yeah. Pendigo, I think he did this on the Enchantress the other day too. But Glyph has been popped out. Interesting Mjolnir use on the TA instead of the Wraith King.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah, I don't think SNA will be able to pursue, though. Well, maybe they will. They'll have to hang around for a while. Creep wave inbound. It is going to be a big creep wave, though, coming with that
Dire's
siege creep.
middle tower
Patience
is
from
under
SNA.
attack.
Yeah.
So Ush, I believe he has buyback. If he doesn't, he'll be really close. He actually does not have buyback for 130 gold. So if he dies, it could potentially be game ending. Potentially.
Dire's
So
middle tower
they have to be
is
very,
under
very
attack.
careful with this push. And alternatively, they could wait a little bit longer and wait for the next Roshan. But by that time, Shadow Fiend won't actually have any more slots for those items. So he doesn't have that much room to go. Slark has just died a lot this game. I think way more than he should have. I think he started off 3-1. Now he's 3-4.
Yep.
And I mean, he needs a basher at this point to deal with the BKBs, and he just has Shadow Blade and Scotty, which is nice for ganking and for surviving. But in terms of actually being able to,
Uh-oh, stun on the Ush once again. IX Mike hops forward. Ravage ready. He might get dropped down before he can get it off. He throws it, but BKBs were popped. Mike falls, and this is looking good for eHug. Decent ultimate from Whitebeard comes out, sets up the kill on Visage. Instant buyback. Justin stands his ground. He falls as well. He'll buy back right away. SNA taking tower shots. A great stun from the Nyx, but they just don't have the damage. Justin, now he's rejoined. They will maybe bring Ush down. No, he eats the cheese. He's still alive. The buybacks may be worth it for eHug. Can they get some counter kills? They'll finish off Enchantress. Whitebeard coming back in with a kinetic field. That helps break things up. eHug, they can't retreat, but now they'll press forward. They get the gem back. They bring down the Slark. Ush cleaning it up. He'll drop the TA. That's a dieback. She's down for 100 seconds. Mirana coming in. The gem gets pinged out. It's still on the ground, but Ush, he's alive with full hit points, and he has a buyback available in case he falls. Cakes comes out of the base. Blinks forward. Arrow off the mark. That could have been a kill on Ush, but they won't be able to line it up this time.
Dire's middle
And
tower
eHug
is
holds,
under
but
attack.
it is very costly. Glimpse back into kinetic field. Shadow Fiend can't get the right clicks, but oh wow, critting down Cakes. Shadow Rays just off the mark, but a close call.
dang, they were so close to bringing
Radiant's
down the
middle
Shadow Fiend
tower
before the
is under
cheese too.
attack.
So darn close. That butterfly saves him.
Yeah, so they burn. How many buybacks was that total from eHug? That was Visage and TA, and there was a
Dire's
buyback used
middle
on
tower
SNA
is
coming
under
from
Mirana.
the...
Oh wait, no.
Oh no, it's Nyx Assassin.
Not
3
Mirana.
buybacks burned from eHug, pardon me. Wow, that was a very costly defense, but they do burn the cheese and Aegis, and they keep their tier 3 tower alive. So definitely a solid hold, and the mid lane of creeps. Holy Toledo, look at the SNA base. They lost a tier 4 tower, and their other tier 4 not
Wow.
looking so healthy.
This could be a throne race.
This is actually getting a little scary. To be fair, eHug did take a lot of damage on their bottom tier 4 from the bottom lane pushing in, but they got the much better of that tier 4 exchange for sure.
Gotta get some BOTs, push out the lanes. Shadow Fiend has enough gold to do so. Oh, did he buy? What did he spend his gold on?
Who?
Shadow Fiend.
Oh, wait. Cakes gets glimpsed back. Does get off an impale into Whitebeard before he falls. Will grab a spike. Carapace stuns all 4 of them. But it doesn't matter. That long range
Oh, he bought a
glimpse
new
from
PKB.
Whitebeard. Yeah, okay.
But he
There.
doesn't have buyback. I don't know. I don't really think he needs it.
I mean, the 10-second BKB is nice, but not at the risk of not having
Yes.
buyback, given that Cheese and Aegis have both expired, and next Roach is not coming up anytime soon.
Yeah.
At least another 3-ish minutes.
And they're putting themselves in a position where, again, if Shadow Fiend dies, they lose the game.
Yeah.
So they have to be extremely, extremely careful. And I think they actually need Force Staffs to protect them a little bit from the mass initiation that they have.
They don't have even a single Force staff.
Yeah, I think they
so
need
it's-
Force Staffs to stop the stun lock, and it'll buy enough time. They don't want to really walk into Tidehunter. Tidehunter just has not had any good ravages this game.
Yeah.
He's still been sitting on the Shiva's Guard recipe.
It's been difficult. eHug have done a good job preemptively using their BKBs and focusing him down when he can't get that Ravage off right away. I think SNA want to try to force the issue here because they know there's 3 buybacks on cooldown, so if they get a good team fight here, eHug will basically lose. They are at the
I think
mercy of these 3-minute timers.
I think vice versa, though, too.
Vice versa can definitely happen. This is risky from SNA, but I think that's at least the mindset as to why they're trying to press the issue without buyback on Shadow Fiend.
Yeah. But they'll think twice. Excessin is alive. Don't want to take a straight 5-on-5. And the kill score is pretty close, but gold lead almost at 0. I guess that doesn't tell the full story.
The whole
because there's
game
been
is
a lot
pretty
of
close.
Buybacks. Yeah, buybacks.
Yeah.
So let's see. SNA's glyph is up. The T4 tower is at 300 HP. And they also have a Desolator TA. Do they have the Scepter up on Visage? No, they only have a Ghost Scepter. So they don't have actually that much physical damage to bring down the towers. Things like Mjolnir on the Marana.
But don't forget the Visage has BOTs. So there could be
Yes.
some cheeky backdooring with those familiars if push comes to shove.
Maybe he was the one that actually took down the towers. We don't actually
With
know.
the familiars, yeah, there was too much chaos happening. But just something important to remember when those BOTs are out. If it's just a throne standing, Visage could do a little.
They
chip
need
damage.
one on TA though. I think she's the big damage dealer, and she has a Desolator. So I think if Snot overcommit, for example, if Shadow Fiend gets like a, I don't know, a Manta as his last item instead of the TP scroll and doesn't have a TP scroll back, I think they can actually win the game. So Uch has to be very careful not to put himself in that sort of position, and the easiest solution is to buy BOTs, but spending all of his gold right now is probably not the best idea, and he did dump that gold into a BKB. So the familiars do get scouted out. Visage still has them on cooldown for another 45 seconds, and no BOT opportunities for him.
Yeah.
So Roshan, it will be a rather shortish, no, actually, rather longish respawn.
Yeah, about 2 minutes. Maybe about a minute and a half till it comes up. Double damage rune on TA. They'll try and jump on him. Justin pops the BKB right away. Pandago blinks forward. They're going for Ush. They'll try to bring him down. Do they have the damage? Ty gets off the Ravage this time. Ush will fall. That's his unstoppable streak. Ty goes down as well. This could be the moment that eHug was waiting for. Pandago procs his ultimate. He'll come back. Everyone's slowed up. Snaz already burned the Shadow Dance. Now he's on the run. Pandago blinks forward. He will fall. This is a 3-for-0 Merlini.
I think they go for the throne.
They're doing it. No Roche. Yeah, very unfortunate once again.
See,
but
this
they might
gold management by Shadow Fiend is just you can't do that. You can't buy a BKB, not be able to use it because they have a lot of stun lock. That's not necessarily his fault for not being able to use the BKB, but you can't put yourself in that sort of situation where if you die, you lose the game. He's the most farmed hero in the game right now, and it all doesn't matter. His buyback 130 gold. That's all the time they need. They just burn down the throne right now with BKBs, and that's game.
Yeah, the Glyph is the only thing stopping them. They don't even have a Ravage as well. Tidehunter's coming back, but 100 seconds. Glyph used right away.
They just truck the throne. This is their best shot.
Yeah, I think so as well.
If Roshan were up, maybe they can wait, but Roshan's not, so.
And they'll go into the Enchantress. They have the stun to bring her down, it looks like. Fluff, still alive for now. Whitebeard throws out the kinetic field that actually isolates them from Fluff enough, but not enough from the Visage. He'll take down the Tidehunter as well. Buyback from IX Mike. The tier 4 has fallen. The throne will go down. The GG comes out, and eHug, with the first real big upset we've seen, I think. They take out the sneaky Nyx assassin.
You can't underestimate eHug, man.
I like it. I've been cheering for eHug for a while.
Snot
They're to step it up.
made way too many mistakes.
Yeah.
They are not going to make it. They might not even make it to the playoffs if they continue playing like that. They had so many mistakes. I would say it was just greedy, super greedy. They didn't respect the stun lock from eHug. I think that's the biggest thing. Like you can even get like a Lincoln's on Snot if you really on the Shadow Fiend if you really worry about it because it's all set up. It's like actually Impale doesn't break it anymore, so maybe not. They needed 4 staffs on the supports. Whitebeard, Fluff. Pick up 4 staffs to save your stunlock carries. That's something that Alliance does very, very often, and they need to take a page from their book. That's a big mistake, like not getting 4 sets or stunlock because a lot of them are like trajectory too instead of actual like single target. So if you like
see it coming, you can turn the way to get 4 staff.
No, you just it's
So
difficult to hit an arrow on a 4-staff target or a Impale.
Right, I see.
Yeah, so those are very difficult to hit after a Wraith King stun because Pandago just runs in and stuns, or they Impale from the high ground and then they follow it with a long duration arrow, and they have nowhere to save them because they have BKBs, and you can't interrupt it with Ravage. That's what they were relying on a little bit too much because of the BKBs. So Disruptor, he probably could have gotten a Scepter too. It came out a little bit too late. His items were actually Blinking bots. It's not the most useful. You can get a 4-staff and a Ghost Scepter, and I think it would have done a lot more.
Yeah, the blink I can understand. The bots.
Why does he need blink?
Well,
he just follows up after.
I guess he does follow up. I mean, he can hop in for like clutch. I mean, he put it a lot. He used it as a positioning tool to set up a lot of kinetic field static storms that help like break the team fight in half.
That's true.
So I mean, you can do the same thing with a 4-staff, and then you have that utility. To
it's not his job to interrupt team fights, though. It's Tidehunter's job.
That's a
because
fair point. The 4-staff would have been more important.
If he drops his spells, they can just BKB out of it. So he just comes in later in the fight. He can't do anything. If he has a Scepter, on the other hand, then he can do it. But he won't have the farm for it, so Blink is irrelevant unless he has a Scepter, right?
Okay, I see. Yeah, I see where you're going.
And then if he has a 4-staff, he can save Shadow Fiend, because Shadow Fiend, if they lose Shadow Fiend, they lose the fight.
Yeah.
And that's
okay.
They
I was thinking more his item trajectory of Brown Boots into Blink and then into BOTs. At that point, I think you're better off getting a Force over BOTs. That's where I was going. Given the premise that if you're going Blink first, I think the 4 staff is better than bots after that. That's kind of the angle I was going on.
It depends on how the game's going. If they're winning
Yeah.
and they need the blink for pickoffs, that's a
So in the
wonderful
context of this game, you think it should have just been 4 staff before blink, and BOTs were just fine. It's more the blink over 4 staff that's the issue.
It's either Scepter Rush into Blink
Mhm.
because to counter the BKBs,
Right.
because they're definitely going to get BKBs to counter Tidehunter and Disruptors. So it's either Scepter into Blink, or you go full defensive, you stay alive with Force and Ghost Scepter, and you can also save the Shadow Fiend. I think
Okay.
those are the items. And also Fluff needs to gear for that too. The mech, they needed the mech, they needed the medallion.
But then he went Halberd after that instead of a 4 staff.
Halberd's yeah,
good, but
they need
somebody
force.
has to get a 4 staff. At some point, you have to sacrifice. You don't get BOTs on one of the supports. You don't get a Halberd,
Or you get a Sheep.
or you get yeah.
So they can also the other.
Could he have farmed a sheep though? Yeah, I guess so.
He has a halberd. If you have a halberd, you can most likely farm a sheep.
Yeah, I
He's
guess
probably
that's
pretty
true.
close.
Fluff had a fair bit. He had
So
17 assists,
the other
yeah.
way for the team fights to go is Blink Ravage, Sheep TA, and kill her with BKBs, and they don't have any way to save him
Okay.
either, unless they have 4 steps. So
Yeah.
they could have taken the team fights a little bit differently. Is either go all out to save Shadow Fiend or go all offensive on the TA. And their team fight was they didn't really gear towards either one. They weren't tackling the problem, which is Shadow Fiend dying in every single fight.
Yeah. At the end of the day, what really cost them was that 10-second BKB on Ush. If he had buyback at the
Yes,
end,
that
that
is
game
actually
would have
true, too.
continued on. All that other stuff, those are good points, and they had an impact on the game, but Ush not having buyback and going all in for a 10-second BKB that he didn't get to use, mind you. He was stun locked down before he popped his BKB in that last fight. That's it.
But
Game's
if he
over.
had 4 staffs, if
Yeah.
he had better Ravages earlier in the game, so he had more gold and he didn't die, I think it's a whole team effort.
Yeah.
And you can pick out the individual mistakes, but their team decision to go into a lot of these pushes, like the 3-man push on top where they just got wiped without Ravage, like,
Yeah.
what is that?
Tide's like halfway through level 5. Just wait till he gets Ravage.
Slark
You can
get-
take that fight if you have a Ravage. It's
Slark
a
getting
game
picked
changer.
off on bottom with the gem solo.
Yeah.
You can't let that happen either.
Yeah.
So
same.
they had just had a lot of mistakes, and hopefully Snot cleans up their play. They're sitting at, let's see, I believe 3 losses now. No, 2. Is it 2 or 3? I don't know if they updated this game.
I believe it's 3 now. I don't think it's updated yet. I believe they are now 5-3. They were 5-2
so
coming
SNA
into it.
lost versus
Yes.
eHug. So now SNA is 5-3. With 3 losses is like
I don't think
Yeah.
they'll be top 2. It's looking
They
like
won't be
they'll
top
still
2,
be
yeah.
top 4. They'll probably still make the playoffs as long as they win their next 2 games, but top
Who do they play
2
last?
is looking much less likely.
they play Isserus, free win. They play top 5. Not a free win, but
But they should
looking
beat them.
decent.
Yeah. Yeah, but Liquid right now, they are 6-1, and the North American Rejects, they are 5-1. So those 2 teams are looking very good.
That's pending the other games that
Yeah.
we actually haven't watched. So
Yeah, that's true.
I think a couple of them probably just finished.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So, all right, what's coming up next here, Merlini?
thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. There will be one more Zayori Merlini cast actually starting in about 10 minutes. Revenge versus No Earth Spirit. So you have to go back to your roots here.
Jesus.
Cast your good buddy Goody and
At least
the
we had a
half-fried
good
egg
game
roll.
to compensate.
Yeah, this was a really good game. One of the closer matches we've seen so far in the 2 days of the American
I think it really
qualifier.
showcases the vulnerability of Sneaky Nixes. I think they completely outdrafted them.
Yeah.
They just did not outplay them.
Agreed. So, all right, guys, we'll have a quick break, and then about 10 minutes from now, Revenge versus the No Earth Spirits. I almost said North American Rejects. The No Earth Spirits coming up next, guys. Thanks for joining us. This is the eHug presentation of the TI4 America Qualifiers. I'm Zayori. This guy's Merlini, and we'll be back after this break.